Welcome back to the Prettiest podcast. I'm your host, Sydney.
And I'm your host, Kim.
And today, we have a special guest.
We are so honored to have attorney Stephanie Sneed with us today, who is the board chair of Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Chair Sneed.
Thank you. I'm very excited. Thank you for having me.
We are thrilled.
We're going to have a great time.
Right.
Looking forward to it.
Being that she is the chair of Charlotte-Mecklenburg Schools and sees a lot of everything that goes on within the school system, we thought it would be a great time to have a conversation about our girls, our young girls who are in middle school and high school, as well as some young adults. So we kind of want to get into how we can help them be better women. And we here talk about Pretty Is as Pretty Does on our podcast. So we definitely want to be able to share with these young women how they can be better. So the first thing that we want to do, with you being chair of CMS, I'm just thinking that you get to see a lot that goes on behind the scenes with our young girls. If there's something that you can share with our viewers in terms of maybe some struggles that these girls are going through in middle and high school. I was a school counselor in the past, and I know that fighting was a big deal. A lot of he say, she say. So relationship building would just always come up in terms of that being an area where we needed to really step in and assist our young women. Is that something that you still see today?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. It's amazing what the young, I'm gonna call them young ladies, are struggling with today, and it's just apparent in their behavior. It looks like it's a lot of insecurities. Like, I mean, of course, the normal things are, based in their appearance, their relationships with each other, their relationships with the opposite sex or whoever, or if it's same gender sex. Like all of those things, their relationships with authority. Right. And not authority in a bad way, like is how they interacting with teachers, how they interacting with principals, by those that are giving them direction. I can tell you that I'm at a loss for words in what's happening with our young girls. I see a lot of discipline, lots of discipline that are pertaining to our young girls. And it's like insubordination and fighting. And the fighting is what's really surprising to me. And at the manner of the fighting, it's not just, it's some I've seen is, knockout, drag out fights. You would think that, how they interacting with each other, that it is involved issues that are more serious. Then when you talk to them, it's like, this is what this is what this is about. So for me as a school board member, I'm in a space of that I know is something we need to pay attention to. That's thing one. The second thing is that is there something that we can do from a board in setting policies? Is there something from a district that can happen in terms of there's certain programming? So that to me is that we really need to get to the bottom of it.
So do they still use in-school suspension? Because I know we would have ISS and OSS.
Yes.
And is it effective?
See, that's the question, right? So, you've asked a great question because, obviously when I'm on the school board, if, a suspension is issued and it's appealed, it comes before the school board members, on a panel, 3-board panel. So we make the determination if we're going to hold up the superintendent's recommendation. But the question I always ask is, I want to follow up with that young lady.
Because how do you make sure that it doesn't happen again? Right.
And so, and I don't know if it's just some encouragement, but it's just terrible. Every one of these discipline hearings, when I tell you I boo-hoo cry.
Oh, wow.
Like they come, they be like, they say, Chair Sneed, every time I go in there, like, are you going to be all right today? I'm like, yes, I'm going to be fine. But the crazy thing is because I see so much potential in them. And some of them, and their grades may not match. Like, so you don't think automatically because they're engaging in this behavior, like their grades aren't good. Like sometimes I'm looking through and I'm like, look up, young lady. I'm like, you have great, like your academics are fine. So what is the behavior of the social and emotional components, which is honestly not my expertise. I'm an attorney by trade. So that is just not my space of knowing the why of things. And a lot of times the young ladies cry. And so I usually will say something to them, explain to me, like, what were you thinking? Like, what was going on? And they'll just break out crying. Or if I say the word something like, I believe in you, right?
Right. And see, they may not be hearing that at home.
Right. I'm looking at your grades.
Right.
You're such a pretty girl. This isn't a thing. And most of them, those girls come in, especially the middle school girls, they'll be so cute. I'm like, look at this cute little thing. They'll be so cute. And I say, look at you, just so cute, just so pretty. And then, I would have just watched a video of engaging in just not pretty behavior.
Right.
I'm like, you're much too pretty to be doing like that. To act like that, right? And then they'll cry too. So I'm like, I know it's something there. I just don't know what that piece is of how to resolve, or are they emulating something?
That's a good point.
I feel like a big problem of our generation right now is attention. Like girls crave attention.
Right. That makes sense.
And it stems from social media. That's like really like when it boils down to it, everybody wants that attention. And it's like, well, how can I get it? Act out. Then I'll get some attention. Then somebody will look at me. Then somebody will pay me attention. Because it's like, that's such a big thing right now. And it stems from middle school.
Right.
I mean, everybody has access to it now. To competition. You're comparing yourself every day. You're scrolling, you're looking at everybody, you're watching this, you're watching that. And it's like, I mean, I had that at a young age, but I was, in high school when, like, Instagram really started, like, getting to where it is today. But I can imagine that starting then. It's crazy.
And when you talk about social media, you think about, in their mind, oh, do I have enough likes on this one picture? Oh, well, I'm depressed because now I don't have all the likes
they don't like
as my
me.
Girlfriend in terms of comparing to someone else.
They only liked my picture. They didn't comment. They didn't repost it. They didn't share it to their friends.
See, that's too much.
It's so much to think about. I'm serious. Like, this is really like what goes, like, it goes through.
Wow, not did they repost it.
Yes. Did they add it to their story?
Yeah.
Why does it have this many shares? Are they talking about me? Does my hair look crazy? Do I look too big?
Yeah.
It's all of that.
And see, so that goes back to like the whole self-esteem.
Yeah.
In terms of the girls. But it makes me wonder too, what's going on at home.
Yeah.
Is there anyone at home that is just feeding into them positively? And I do know that everybody doesn't have that.
Right.
So for those girls, it's almost like, okay, what can we do at school to help? Okay, well, we can teach, the mental well-being piece and self-love and say your affirmations, and we can do all that. But it's like, what else can we do when they leave that hearing to make sure that they don't go right back into that same
old
cycle?
Habits. Yeah.
But how does it translate I think you're spot on, like you need constant affirmations, right? From other people.
Quick. You want
instead
them now.
Of having, as you say, saying the affirmations to yourself. But then the other part is, why is it translating to violent behavior?
Right.
Physical aggression.
Right.
That's very true.
So where does that stem from?
See, that's a hard question to answer. Because when you get into the physical of it, and that's just because girls are catty to begin with.
Right.
Girls are we're catty natured. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm going to be honest, I always say it starts in 4th grade. Because when I was an elementary school school counselor, y'all, 4th grade girls, they could not get along.
Yeah.
Yes.
And all the teachers in that building wanted groups, counseling groups with girls. How can they get along? Why do they mistreat each other? Why do they disrespect each other? And they have different friend groups every week.
Exactly.
Like you're best friends today, but next week they're not playing. Like I never really understood what is that. And then to your point, they're fighting.
Yeah.
How can we help? So that by the time they get to high school, they don't have to be with Chair Sneed and have a hearing.
Exactly.
Because they've learned some tools that they needed, when they were younger to get along with each other.
Actually, it's making me think, since you said it's key at 4th grade, like, is it a part of our curriculum
Right.
that we talk about those things.
Right. Maybe if we could have a relationship class
I love
in
that.
4th grade,
Exactly.
I love that.
because they don't know, y'all, how to get along. But if we're not giving them the tools that they need, you're never going to learn. And it's just going to continue to be
A cycle.
repeated,
Yeah.
right, every year.
Every year.
Yeah. But it's just something about, 4th and 5th. And then by the time they get to middle school, you already have your friend groups, especially if you went to elementary school together.
Exactly.
Yep.
And don't be a new student that has transferred
Yes.
in.
Yes.
It's tough to break in
Yes.
and make friends. But that's another thing, a friendship class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are all kind of things to do, but I think the question is, with the day being so full, you have to get those core classes in. Would they be willing to maybe have an elective of some type of relationship skills, teaching these young girls,
Exactly.
young ladies, as you said?
Well, here's the problem. You hit the nail on the head, is that it's so many requirements that we're putting in our classroom. And so the part of me is like, parents need to step in, community needs to step in, but if they don't, then what?
Right.
Right? So we have to have some type of backup. I mean, when we surveyed students, parents, on what children should know and be able to do, and what do you want to see in the classroom? Like, what do you think that the top things were? Can you guess?
Okay, let's guess. What would they? I mean, of course, they want them to make good grades. Make good grades in their core classes. They probably want to pick their own teachers in terms of the parents, because I want them in such and such class. But what else?
You got it. Most of it is like reading, writing,
Right.
arithmetic, financial literacy.
Right.
But then a consistent theme was things like hygiene,
Oh, interesting.
social well-being.
Right.
Those were consistent themes, but it was a little bit shocking to me, because some of those things is very much what a parent should be doing.
Yeah.
And we have all these things, so now it's just putting, we're in a space of it's
Right.
more and more requirements.
Right.
So I think there is a solution to that, because we have to have that model of, which we're trying to do, is to make sure we have community partnerships.
Okay.
Right. So
Right.
everything is not going to happen in the classroom.
Oh,
like
right.
it's impossible. But
Absolutely.
we really have to get the engagement of the community to buy in into supporting our students.
Okay.
And so do I think that's the community's fault? Nope. I think that's the school system. Like the
Right.
school system has to create a space to say, we want your help. We need your help. This is the support our students' needs. I think,
Right.
We've kind of gotten away, which is probably a way the interaction we don't have, that our girls don't have, is that we haven't been engaged in that community model, especially from when I was growing up. Like I
Right.
could be anywhere in the neighborhood and
Right.
people knew who my parents were,
Right.
right?
And now it's
So with us saying that it starts at a young age, like 4th grade, right? So does CMS have like a mentorship program in place or something, where like it would be like elementary students are paired with the high school student, middle school students are paired with the high school student, and they meet however often?
right, kind of like a big sister,
Like
big brother.
like big brother, big sisters,
Yeah.
but in the school,
Within the
in the school.
in the school that you went to in element, like in that,
Oh, now that
the
would-
district.
That's amazing.
Now
Stuff
that
like
would
that.
be amazing.
That's amazing.
So Sydney, you could go back to Piedmont
Yes.
and pour into those students.
Yes.
And Mallet
But
Creek.
it's like, I feel like having somebody to lean on that's been
That's
through what you've
amazing.
been through in the same community as you.
Now that is a great idea.
That is absolutely amazing.
And they would respect you just because you went to their school.
Yes.
Exactly. And they're like, well, you don't understand. No, I do understand.
Right, because
Yeah,
I've been there.
Yeah.
I have actually been
Yeah.
there. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it also gives the mentor opportunity to pour back into, the younger community. So that's just
especially if they're in that same school, like or a senior and a freshman,
Right.
or a senior
That's a
and
great
a sophomore.
idea.
That is an excellent idea.
Yeah.
I love that. It's
too.
really good.
Yeah.
Another thing too, really are the parents and the piece that they play in, us raising these scholars in these schools. And I have found in the Title I schools where I've been in, it's kind of hard to get them involved because sometimes the parents are working 2 and 3 jobs and they have other students at home that they have to take care of. So they just really don't always have the time. But I'm just trying to figure out, is it really their responsibility to teach these girls, if they don't have the time, if they are working so much, is it their responsibility to teach them the social skills that's needed, or is it the school's responsibility? Because I can remember being in my elementary school that was Title I. I had this one, he was in the 1st grade, and my principal would call and say, please come get him and help him with social skills. Like basics, things that you really would think a student would learn at home. Like we can't just take for granted that everybody's learning and has that support, because they don't. Just how to say, good morning, Mrs. McGregor. Yeah. I'm talking basic. Like, do you think that some parents would be okay with that? Like, how do you not step on their toes? Because it goes, it's kind of tough. Some parents don't want you teaching them anything. I got it. I'm going to teach my own student. But what happens to those students that don't get it at home?
Fall through the cracks.
Right. Right. So it's just, something else to kind of think about.
So I think there is some responsibility within a school system. I mean, because we know the cards that we have. Like, we know the population that we deal with. We know how the nature of our communities are. So I think that the question is, maybe it's built into the curriculum some type of way. Like, so you think you are just doing, social studies. Right. But really it's also a lesson on how to be social, possibly. Like, so how do we marry those two things? And the other thing I was thinking about, and it's something that you work on as well, is a lot of the parents may not have those skills.
That's very true. That's very true, because you know what? How do you help somebody you don't know how to help?
Exactly.
Like, how do you help them? I remember having a parent come up and say, I want to learn social emotional learning. Like, do you do adult classes?
I remember that.
You remember?
Yeah.
In other words, it would just be nice to be able to teach the whole family.
Yes.
Because really, if we're teaching the scholars at school, but nobody else in that household is getting it, how much are we really changing?
Yeah, exactly.
Because we can't depend on that one scholar to go home and teach the whole family. Really, you have to make a difference really on everybody, in the household. So, but the parent component is important.
And that's where that community comes in. Like, I know that you've been engaged in workshops for like parent universities. CMS used to have a parent university as well.
I remember that.
And I don't know at what stage that wasn't participated in anymore, but that's why it's like that outside in, I don't know. I think it's the time we got to think of the next. Like, how do we uniquely attract folks to do it, to participate in it, that to get this and something else. Like, you're getting this parent support, and social emotional, and whatever that other thing is popping.
Okay. That's good. I wanted to also touch on the event that you have coming up at the end of the month, I believe March 29th, and it's going to be at Community Matters.
Yes.
What's the Tea?
Yes.
I love that. If you could kind of share a little bit of that and, what the details are.
Yeah, so I'm really excited, and it's about the things we're talking about here today. It's called What's the Tea? What's really going on with our black girls? Because we need to have a real conversation. You know what I mean? Like, I want to... And when I say a real conversation, and it is no shade to the type of events that are typically here in Charlotte. Most of them are forums, right? And then you have some talking heads, right? But then it's never a next. So I did a similar event, the same thing with black men. So that was based in cigars and that type of thing. And so this one is based in tea. With almost like a tea party type environment, but it will have the talking heads, right, to say these are our experiences. I'm glad that you'll be able to attend.
I'm honored.
So it'll have that information in it from our experts And then we're going to break out into small groups and really come up with some solutions, right? And I'm looking for solutions that I can take back to community leaders. I know I can take back to the other Board of Education members, that I can take back to the superintendent, because I want to hear, like, I have a certain experience, right? You have a certain experience, you have a certain experience, which is not everybody. So I can say what I think it is, but I don't know that. So what'll be there, it'll be adults as well that are usually work with young women, as well as students. So to be middle schoolers and high schoolers are there, so to be a good opportunity to interact, to hear their voice. I don't know what they're going to say. Like, literally, I think that I'm going to be surprised. Maybe it's something simplistic. Right. I don't know. But how do we translate that to what is needed?
Right.
So
I love that.
It has to be an action item. Like, for me, it's like, it has to be an action item, because the time that I have in this space, I want to be able to say, we as a board have accomplished this and move the needle in this particular way, even if it's small. I know of course I have high expectations, but we didn't get into this space of this kind of culture overnight. It's going to take time for that to change, but looking forward to hearing from, I'm gonna call the students the experts, because they can better express, I guess, than anyone else, the supports that they need.
Exactly, because they're living it.
Yeah.
You know, and they have a whole total, just a different outlook than we do. And I mean, when you bring different generations together like that and have it in the room, I think it's amazing. It's an amazing, so that'll be great. Wow. Okay. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, what about the other end? Like, what do you guys think that the girls can do to be the prettiest as Pretty does? Like, what are those tips?
So you know what? I have a couple of tips, and I'm sure Sydney does too. And for me, it is just really just letting these girls know that beauty comes from inside out. You know, beauty is from within. And I know you all care about how you look on the outside. Oh, my makeup, my hair. But if you don't act pretty, then you are not pretty. And I learned that years and years and years ago. Some tips from me would be self-love. You've got to love yourself, and self-care. How do you treat yourself? Because if you have to respect yourself and don't allow others to mistreat you. Those would be some tips that I have.
My biggest tip that I would say that's gotten me through a lot of friendships and stuff like that would be, like, treat people how you want to be treated.
The golden rule. Treat
people how you want to be treated, because regardless of how somebody talks to you, treats you, as long as you're constantly pouring out positive energy and love and good vibes and everything like that, that's all it's going to come back to you.
Right.
So put out what you want to get back.
I love that.
That's really good.
I love that. Yes. So thank you all for joining us today. And thank you, Chair Sneed, for being with us. This was awesome.
This was amazing.
It was really good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right.
See you guys next time.
See you later. Bye-bye.